Okay, so happy to have everybody here for this panel about Ramon's film Rhythm and Blues. So I want to start off by just saying, Ramon, this film is absolutely beautiful from the music, lighting, color choices, and the visual design in every capacity. But what was most captivating for me was the intimacy of the story. So I wanted to know, how did you come up with this story, and were there any specific inspirations behind it?
Yeah, so this is a story I had before I came to school. The bare bones of it, like the concept of just like a love story surrounded by music. That was something I was gonna do outside of school, but when we got to a class called 508, which is our master's second semester project, I was struggling to find a different story, and that was the only one that was like present in my mind of like knowing that I could do it. So I just decided to use my second semester to work on that. I feel like I'm like an action thriller guy, but drama is not something I see myself doing. But I was like, let me just try it and work on performances. So coming into this semester, I had an idea of what I wanted to do, but I think it's more so a collaborative process. Like Trey can attest to this. Like it was more so I had scripts, but the first couple of rehearsals more so just like get into the essence of it, trying to discover certain things. So um, yeah, I think it was more so a process. Like from pre-production, like my script was probably 75% there. If I would have shot it, it would have been okay, but it wasn't what I was getting at. And because I'm so new in my filmmaking journey, I couldn't really articulate that. I knew I was chasing a feeling that I couldn't really like capture yet, but it was also just leaning on my collaborators, whether it be my cinematographer, producer, my actors, trying to like lay out the sandbox, and then we can make the castle from that. And then that's in rehearsals. Then we get to shoots, and then we get to the second weekend shoots, and that comes into editing. So it was a journey to get to the point. And then looking back on it, I see the nuances now, but it was more so intuitive in a sense. So I couldn't even say I pre-planned it, but I'm glad it turned out how it did now.
That's amazing. I think film is definitely very collaborative in its entire art, and for you to kind of just have that spontaneous energy, and everybody on the set is like, all right, maybe we'll do this, let's do this. And so there were two scenes that really stood out to me. When Melody is having this moment in the bathroom, when we see her dealing with the pressure of having a child, and Tracy's intensive reaction to that, but specifically the way she holds her stomach, and then later we see her, we hear her, Tracy telling her to sing from her diaphragm as he places his hand on her stomach, almost as a sign of embrace. What was the creative decision behind the intimacy of those moments, and how did you direct your actors to lean into that moment? And Trey, if you want to say anything about how that moment and those scenes felt for you as well.
Okay. Yeah, for me, that was kind of late in the process. Like I said, it was like a journey to get to the essence of what my story was. And I was looking for a beat to motivate Melody's character to get the performance out. And I felt at the time it was just like him playing, they're playing the piano. But I was like, there has to be something motivating her because at this point the story could end there when she gets to the piano and they could just like find a resolution. But I was trying to find what's like the moment that propels her to even get the recording out. And so I was looking like, what is something da da da? Like my mom's a singer, and then so that's always been present in my mind. Like, what are the emotions I'm trying to convey? What can motivate that? What I'm trying to capture, and it had to go back into my childhood. My sister is 5 years younger than me. So me and my brother, I remember when my mom was pregnant with her, and how it was for us. We used to feel in her stomach, and my mom was like, "Yo, just like feel my stomach." We could feel my sister kicking against her womb, and so I was like, "Oh, that's perfect." Because when I'm like, "Okay, diaphragm," and then it's like the same type of region of the area of the stomach. So that I kind of just pulled from my own experiences because I knew how like surreal it felt, like feeling like a human inside of another human. And so I'm a kid. So me and my brother was like fascinated about because we didn't even know what we couldn't conceptualize what pregnancy was. So we're just like, what is going on here? And I felt that's what Tracy needed in that moment because at that point in the story, he's always compartmentalizing emotions, like trying to separate the personal and professional. But at this point in time, I think he's starting to realize that they're one and the same in this regard.
Mhm.
And then for her, it kind of makes it real for her too, because as she's trying to get to this intimate moment, she has to fight over an emotional hurdle. And then when all she wants in the whole story is like support. It's not a yes or a no. It's just like, I need you to be there for me regardless. And then so when he kind of embraces her in the diaphragm beat, she feels that it means more, and even more so when he pulls away. And then that's what she needs to convey the emotion through the song. So that was just something I pulled from like a personal experience, and I um, that's how it kind of showed in the story.
Mm. I mean, he hit the nail on the head. As far as it goes for Tracy, I feel like that's the point in the story where it finally clicks in his head that not only is he working on this musical project with Melody, but there's something inside of her that's a part of him as well. And I think that he wants her to know that. I think that he wants to show his full support for her to sing in the project, but I think that's a moment where he definitely realizes that he needs to support her in other ways as well. And I just think that that's the moment that it clicks in his head for him.
It's beautiful. So another question for you, Tray. So of course, I know Alexis is not here with us, but you both did an amazing job in bringing your characters to life in this piece. Could you start by just sharing how you first heard about this project and what enticed you to want to be a part of it?
So I actually heard about the project just scrolling online, Actors Access, submitting myself. But the project actually really stood out to me because um, it's kind of my life in a way, and it's kind of how I came to be. My dad's name is Tracy, so that was the first thing that was like crazy. But my dad was also a musician and a producer as well, and him and my mom were kind of in the same boat around the same age. They were both 21 when they had me. My dad was just now getting his feet wet in the music business, and only difference is my mom wasn't a singer. So the story is literally like almost identical to how I came to be. So that really, really stood out to me in the project. And honestly, I was really happy that I was cast, and I think that it was meant to be honest.
That's amazing. One of the things I always talk about, especially me and Ramon knows too, is divine alignment, and I think that's definitely resonating throughout this piece. So I want to transition a little bit to that song, Ramon. You wrote that yourself, correct?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so what was that process like? Was this the first time you've ever combined these two talents in your filmmaking?
Yeah, it was actually the first time I actually wrote a song fully by myself too. A lot of times it was just like, because I'm slowly getting into the music stuff too, but it was always collaboration. I do the hook, they write the lyrics, or they write the full thing. I just augment whatever they wrote. So this was my first thing. So it was not only a challenge of just doing something drama like out of my known realm of like strengths, but it was also writing a song, and it has to be good too, because the name Rhythm and Blues is not just something that's like throwaway. So that was a challenge. But all my life I've always been drawn to R&B. Like my probably like 95% of my like Apple Music is like R&B. So it was easy to channel that, but I was trying to make it to the quality and like the nuance of the story. It's like the professional and personal relationship, and how they even speaking to the very end is like intertwined. So and so I had to make it that, and like how can I write to the emotion that she's currently feeling, because at this point in the story she has to try to figure out how can I express to him the amount of pain that I'm in. And so it's not just about just like singing or the notes, it's like the words have to match that as well. And so I had to like really go back to the drawing board of like, okay, what is a strong song structure? Where's the bridge? Where's this? Like, and so like, I had to like really like every line I had to like psychoanalyze, okay, this, and obviously make it catchy to where like, because my original script, I had it to where she revealed to him that she's pregnant in the song. And so I was just like saying, I'm like, okay, I think it's not kind of what I want. Because when I'm listening to the radio, I want it to be like, we know the subtext of what the song is. I want it to be like an inside joke in a sense, because nobody would ever say that in like a hit record. So it's like, okay, let's just bring that to the day before, and then we understand that. And so by the time we get to the record, if you're just listening to it on the radio, you don't know the amount of pain that she's experiencing that motivates that performance, but we do as an audience. And so yeah, that was the main thing. And I gotta have a lot of like talented friends. So I had one of my friends from DC, Ine, she did the reference track to it, and then that um, I gave it to one of my homegirls, Jordan. She actually is an alum from USC. That she did the final version of the song. So, but yeah, that my inspirations, Jasmine Sullivan, her, that was probably like my two biggest things. And I listened to a lot of Frank Ocean, like Channel Orange, just it's based on how he writes the songs, very visual. And then also Beyonce, the last album, Renaissance. So a lot of like, I listened to like the song, like the structure and like how it's written, just to see like how are the best people performing at this level, just so I can like, if I can imitate them enough, it'll be pretty good. So that was kind of the inspiration for that.
That's amazing. And how long did it take you to write it?
Mind you, we started shooting the second weekend of class, so it was mind you, it was a different song too. It was a different bop. It was a upbeat type of thing. But when I was getting to like the essence of what my script was, I'm like, this 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 like BPM was too fast, was too like convey like the emotion I'm trying to let people sit in. So I changed the whole beat. And then I wrote to that, and so it probably took me like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Yeah, I probably started during winter break, so I couldn't be no more than like 3, 4 weeks. But yeah, so
Wow. Creating a song is no small task, and for that to be the first one, I mean, come on now, Trey. How did you feel hearing that song?
Um, Honestly, it's crazy. You say it took you 3 to 4 weeks. I'm like, bro, the song came out great. That's crazy.
Right.
Even down to your musical influences, I have a lot of the same influences, and I could definitely feel it within the song. So it wasn't hard for me to piece together the song and the script. And as far as like how it would make Tracy feel as a character. So kudos to you, Ramon. The song like turned out really good.
thank you.
Uh, Trey, if you had to pick a favorite moment on set that has stuck with you, what would it be?
Um, Honestly, it would just be being in the studio. I think that as a kid, I always wanted to be like a rapper, a musician, because I saw my dad doing it. So it was like um, a little piece of my childhood was like very happy just being in that moment. I think that's a part of acting is living as well. So I think that I was able to live out like a childhood truth, and it also motivated me to like want to get in the studio and maybe make something. I consider myself an artist, so that in the span of my life, I had to at least put out one musical project of some sort, whether it be rapping or if I take voice lessons and it'd be a singing song. I don't know, who knows? But I think that I have to stretch myself as an artist, and just put out music for the fun of it, like not to win any accolades or do it for money, just to stretch myself as an artist. So my favorite moment on set was just being in the studio and living in that moment.
I love that. There's inspiration going all around. Come on.
Mhm.
Ramon, just switching back to the song for a moment, how did you want to use that to guide the story and to convey Melody's feelings? What things, I know you talked a little bit about the things that you considered during the writing process, but was there anything specifically any specific parts of the song creation that were important for you?
Yeah, so originally the song was a little bit longer. It had like a hook in between some of the verses. So I had to shorten it for time constraints. So I was trying to figure out, okay, how can I get the most out of this a minute and 15 seconds? And so that's why like I was listening to a lot of influences, or even like SZA. That was her. I think her album just came out before we started shooting. So how she writes is very like spontaneous. It's not orthodox. So it's like usually a song structure is like 16 bars, 8 bar hook, 16 bars, 8 bar hook, like 16 bar bridge and then the hook, outro, whatever. But she doesn't write like that, and so it's very the cadence is like you write 4 bars like this and then goes something else, but it still matches the full harmony of the song. So if looking back to how it's made now, my song, it's not really the same pattern. So the first 4 bars is like it's very similar, and then you go to a different cadence, and then you go to a different cadence, then you go to like the ballad at the end. So that was just like the different pockets I was writing in, and I just combined the best elements of that, and it kind of made it into one song. And how it relates to Melody, like her name is Melody, so it's like I named it that because I'm like I don't care. I don't care if it's on the nose or whatever, but um I wanted her essence to be like very like intuitive or moves with the rhythm of the beat. So even how she's dressed in warm colors, yellow and greens, and she's in the yellow lights for like 95% of the story. And just to speak to her character, that she lives through her emotions and she sees um through that as well. And so how that relates to songs is like if it's not working, she can feel that. Like whatever it is, whether it be the beat, whether it be the relationship, she can't perform if it's not the right situation to evoke the certain emotion that she's looking for. And that's why like even in certain parts of the story, like the beat isn't working, he's trying to work on the piano. That even motivates her to even come and reach out. And so that is kind of to her character and to Tracy's. Like he's in blues and blacks. He's in blues for the majority of the story, even outside of the bathroom, even coming in. So that's even like on the meta level when he even goes to the piano, it's on her side. And so and that's what kind of even she recognizes that. So we're like, yo, he's even attempting to change. Even though he's not getting there, it's not only until she comes in and with the help of her suggestion, they get to the final point. Like that's kind of his character arc of like he starts off trying to do it his way, then he ends up doing it the best way. And so he is not only there until they finally come back to his side. He gets his want and need, and same thing with her when she asks the final question, and he like gives that to her. So yeah, I think that just for the song wise, that kind of speaks to her character, and they kind of it's like just two ideologies trying to get to the same goal. Like he's a producer, she's the artist. They both are trying to make the same song, but it's coming from two different sides. He's more the engineer, like methodical type, and she's more the artist, like just free flowing. But there's a deadline. So what happens when there's a deadline and he's like, I feel like I have to get there, but you're trying to, and then the engineer side is a deadline, but you're not realizing that she's the one that is supposed to give you this. It's not you're supposed to take it and use it for your own gain. So but yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that answers the question, but
No. You definitely answered those questions. I think, those subtle elements is what makes all the difference for the audience, to be able to perceive and take these characters and their emotions, and just diving into that a little bit more. So I know, Trey, you talked about how this is, of course, a personal story for you, and the experience with your father. So what was it like? Was it emotional at all for you to kind of have to step into the role of Tracy's character, knowing that he's about to be a father? And how do you think just knowing that influenced his decisions in the way that he reacted to Melody throughout the entire thing?
Yeah, so back to the personal story of it all. I always wonder if my dad didn't have me so young, where would his career be? So I know how important that decision is. It's like you have your career and you have a life that you have to support. And sometimes, you can make it work with both. But sometimes you can't. Sometimes the one or the other takes over and you kind of have to choose after you have the both of them. So I think him understanding and loving Melody for who she is, it helps him make that decision. And I think that for my dad's sake, him loving my mom the way he did helped him make the decision to have me. So I think all around the story is just a very personal one.
So was it at all emotional for you to kind of play Tracy's character? Or how did it feel just like during just being in that character, stepping into that moment throughout the film?
Stepping into it, I felt a sense of relief. I felt a sense of understanding. Literally, I just put myself in my dad's shoes when he made that decision. So it was kind of a sense of relief because I used to kind of not necessarily blame myself for him not being as successful as he is, but I used to just wonder. So honestly, it was a sense of relief just being in there and making that decision and just knowing that he made the right decision. Yeah, wow, I never really thought about it that way. So I'm getting kind of emotional over here.
Like, I don't I think that's one of the beautiful things about film. It allows us to go to those deep places and to really discover and even uncover and recover our emotions, our backgrounds, and things that we may not have thought about before. So I'm glad that through this film you were both able to find something really special. So I have two more questions for both of you. Ramon, what was the hardest challenge you faced in making this film, and how have you learned from that experience?
Yeah, I think it's all about probably the first one is just like I said again, I'm not that's not what brought me to film, like the drama stuff. Like so I'm coming in from Transformers, Dark Knight, Iron Man, like superhero stuff. So that's what I like. And I feel like even coming in from last semester, I did pretty good work in that regard. So my main goal for my personal goals for the story was how to get good performances out of two different characters. Even my last semester project was all singular focused characters, so I only had to work with one. So having two different people, and then me being um, first in my trio to make my film, I don't really have time to even like learn any new things. So it was all like off the cuff. Like this is like a personal script, how to get the nuances and develop interesting characters and real characters in real time and having deadlines. So even going to the story, even looking back on it, I feel like I see myself in both Melody and Tracy. I
Ooh.
feel like I want to be Tracy, like being like to the point, deadlines, knock them out and get them done. But I feel like I am Melody in a lot of regards. I feel like I move emotionally and I try to get to that point to get the best performances out. And that may not be when the deadline is. So that conflict, I feel like internally, and I feel like that kind of intuitively guided me to this end result. I couldn't articulate that, but I know there was a feeling in there. But as I kept uncovering what the essence of my story was, I got down to what my personal struggle is as an artist. So yeah, I think that was probably my biggest thing, just trying to communicate what I wanted when I didn't really know myself, but I know there was an emotion there. And I'm like, oh, let's just try it. But I'm like, do I have time to keep trying it? Do I have time to like, how do I communicate that with this person, that person, and just being vulnerable for like everybody to judge. And so, yeah, that was probably the biggest thing, and that probably can get I don't know, with time you can get better at that, like just repetition. Um, so yeah, I think that was my biggest thing, like just working with like a new endeavor, whether it be genre, like the people, everything was new to me, and trying to get the quality that I know I can make with the constraints that we have, whether it be like time, um, like budget, everything, just like resources, the whole nine. So yeah, I think we got a good result, but it was a lot of hard work. So yeah, that was probably the hardest thing.
I love it. And you can definitely see the hard work that everybody put into it and connect into that story as well. I think I know when we went to the panel last week, and she was just talking about how she loves taking on a new role, stepping into something that she's never done before, because it stretches you and it makes
Hmm.
like, all right, this is a challenge, but like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna embrace this and like roll with the punches. And I think you did an amazing job in doing that. Tray, what was it like just working with Alexis as a person, as an actor?
It was actually very, very easy. I love working with artists who understand the script and who can also push you to like give a great performance as well. She was delivering and giving me the emotion that I needed to really stay grounded in who Tracy was and understand who she is. Her coming at Tracy when she's in the booth, I'm like, oh, she's coming at me. Like I gotta understand her, but also I like a tennis match. And it was a tennis match between us two. So it was really fun working with her. And then, you know, once we cut, we were back to being friends again.
I love that. Okay, so as we're wrapping up, what are you both most excited for people to see and know about this piece? And we can start with you, Trey.
I'm most excited for them to see the genius that is Ramon. The man did a great job with the time that he had. So I'm very excited for them to see that, and just the performance and the story of it all, just the duality of the, like you said, the artist and the producer is the same as like in parents. You have the dad and the mom. So it's just a lot of duality, and I hope that people can get and understand that.
And then for me, yeah, I think I had so many different people help me, and so whether it be in sound, whether it be the performance, whether it be Trey and Alexis, like whether it be like my producer Tom or my cinematographer Kaylee. I think because I think we got to a point that was something I'm really proud of. Everybody can take pride in what their contribution was to the project. Yeah, it turned out really good. So I can't say just one thing because I think everybody gave their best effort in this. I did my best to like show that. So yeah, I'm excited for everybody to see it. I did a test screening at the theater a couple weeks ago, and it sounded really good. So yeah, I'm excited to see it. It's in CinemaScope 235, so it's the widest possible screen. Uh, so yeah, it's gonna be like a really good event. Something that people can like when they leave, they can they can remember this specific thing for a number of reasons. So yeah, I'm excited for that to happen for everybody.
Amazing. Yeah, I know for me, just watching it on Vimeo on this tiny laptop screen, but I was captivated by it. I was like, hold on, I gotta watch this again, maybe a third time. So thank you so much, both of you, for taking the time to do this panel with me, and for all of your responses in the story. I can't wait to see it. I know it already is beautiful, and everybody else is gonna resonate with that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.